Welcome back to Horror Movies.
Today, I will be showing you an American horror sci-fi film from 2019 titled Bird Box. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. At the start of the movie, a woman named Mallory Hayes informs her two children that they will shortly commence on a risky trip across the river. During the whole trip, the children will have to compulsorily wear blindfolds and cover their eyes. After the instructions, Mallory takes her beloved birds and leads the children out of the house, blindfolded. She then locates a boat, tosses it into the river and starts her journey. The next scene takes us 5 years back. Mallory is an artist who is heavily pregnant. She recently got divorced and has still not got over the post-breakup stress. As she is busy painting, her sister, Jessica, walks in with the groceries. Jessica mentions that the stores are packed because of the thing. Unaware of it, Mallory turns on the TV. Turns out that there's a mysterious outbreak in Eastern Europe, which is causing people to take their own lives. Despite this, Mallory doesn't take it seriously as she thinks that the outbreak is far from the US. After this, Jessica takes Mallory to the doctor. At the hospital, Dr. Lapham takes routine tests on Mallory and also asks her if she is actually ready to be a parent. On the way back, Mallory witnesses a woman slamming her head on the glass pane. Seeing this, she realizes that whatever was afflicting the people in Europe has now spread to the United States. As a result, she immediately heads outside to Jessica and explains everything. As they prepare to leave, chaos begins unfolding on the streets. Automobiles are colliding into one another and people are purposely getting themselves killed. Jessica somehow avoids the collisions and tries to reach home, but suddenly, her eyes change color and she begins to stare at something only she can see. Despite Mallory's best efforts to keep her on the road, Jessica flips the car and crashes. Both sisters make it out alive, but unfortunately Jessica, who is still in shock, takes her own life by walking in front of a truck. By this time, there is full-blown panic as people are dying left and right. Mallory follows some people who are running in a direction but accidentally trips and falls to the ground. Seeing her struggle, a woman named Lydia leaves her residence to assist Mallory, despite her husband, Douglas, being against it. Unfortunately, Lydia gets infected by the evil entity while helping Mallory. After staring into nothingness for a while, she walks into a burning car and takes herself out. After the horrific encounter, Mallory is finally helped up and rushed into the house by a man named Tom. A policeman called Lucy also joins them. Greg, the homeowner, Charlie, Felix, Cheryl, and a couple, Jason and Samantha, are also in the house. After a while, everyone shares their observations about the supernatural energy that has been taking out people. Charlie, a grocery store worker, explains that it is the end of the world. Meanwhile, everyone is aware that the entity is untouchable and that staring at it will result in their demise. Meanwhile, Tom comforts Mallory, who is still distraught over the untimely demise of Jessica and Lydia. Later, the gang boards up all doors and windows to keep people from peeking outside. In the present, Mallory and the children have been rowing in the river for 6 hours. Underneath a blanket, Mallory tries the walkie-talkie to see if there's someone. Suddenly, she begins to hear the entity whispering her name over the radio. In the flashback, Olympia, a survivor, begs to be allowed inside the house. Douglas attempts to stop it, but Mallory takes a firearm in case anything happens. Olympia is allowed inside the house with caution, and the others see that she is also pregnant. Greg then offers to check out the CCTV cameras in the home to see what's going on outside. He sits in front of the computers, almost expecting to see something on the monitors, and suddenly he does. The others soon hear a banging from within the room. They get upstairs just in time to witness Greg toppling over and slamming his head on a ledge, killing him. As a result, the survivors destroy the computer monitors. Later that night, Olympia tries to chat with Mallory about their prospective baby names, but Mallory simply wants to be left alone. She goes around the house, thinking she heard a pounding noise, but it's just Lucy and Felix hooking up. After that, we are again taken to the present where the family has spent 14 hours on the river. Mallory hears a man's voice shouting out that it's okay to remove the blindfolds, but she tells the children not to. He claims to have food and to have seen the creature, and that there is no cause to be afraid of it. Just as the attacker rushes her and attempts to remove her blindfold, Mallory pulls out her revolver and fires blindly. He dodges it, but she finally eliminates him with a machete. In the past, the group has run out of food. They have realized that rescue is unlikely to arrive. Mallory, Tom, Douglas, Lucy, and Charlie get together to travel to the store where Charlie used to work before everything went away. They cover the car windows with black paint and use the GPS to direct them. While they are driving, the GPS begins to beep over a proximity alarm, indicating that the thing is approaching them. However, Tom is able to get them out of the danger zone. They rush to the store and stock up on as much food as possible. Mallory notices several birds and wishes to keep them as pets. Suddenly, they hear the voice of Charlie's co-worker Fishfinger screaming to be released from a freezer. He then goes on about how wonderful the creature is and how it must be seen. Fishfingers begins to push the entrance, despite Lucy, Tom, and Douglas' efforts to restrain him. After seeing the thing, Charlie believes he is doomed. Hence, he sacrifices himself in order to rescue others. As the survivors leave, they can still hear Fishfingers' pleas to be let out. That night, Mallory and Douglas form a fleeting relationship through their personal issues. Suddenly, they hear someone driving their only vehicle away. Turns out that Lucy and Felix have fled with their car. Now, we are taken to the scene where the family has sailed for 24 hours on the river. Mallory takes a break from rowing. When she resumes, she collides with a sunken vehicle, causing the boy to tumble out of the boat. Mallory takes him out and attempts to warm him, but the food and blankets have gone into the river. Left with no other choice, she abandons the children in the boat and sets out into the woods in search of supplies. Mallory walks into a building and hears a noise and notices items moving on their own, as if the creature is pulling them. She quickly gathers the supplies and makes it out of the building, but the thing continues to call out her name. The little girl hears Mallory fire her gun at the unseen creature and leaves the boat to assist her, but Mallory finds her and snatches her, scolding her for leaving the boat as they return to it. In the next scene, Olympia allows a needy guy named Gary into the house. He is vigorously examined and interrogated by the others. Outside, he claims, there are individuals who aren't wearing blindfolds, who are eager to view the monsters and want others to see them as well. Douglas doesn't trust Gary and attempts to evict him with a pistol, but Cheryl knocks him out and lets Gary stay. The group then locks Douglas in the garage. Olympia apologizes bitterly for bringing Gary in and says she feels like a burden, but Mallory assures her that she isn't one. Olympia then begs Mallory to look after her kid in the event that she becomes ill, and Mallory accepts. Olympia is then given a Hello Kitty toy to present to the infant. In the next scene, we can see the family has already gone past 38 hours on the river. The little girl is seen carrying a Hello Kitty toy, implying that she is Olympia's child. Mallory wraps herself and the kids in a blanket as they approach the rapids, warning them that this will be the most dangerous part of the journey. She informs them that one of them has to navigate with their eyes open, and both youngsters volunteer, but Mallory thinks it's not worth it to sacrifice any of them, so she assures them that no one will see, and they'll just battle the rapids blindfolded. In the next scene, we are again taken to the past where both Mallory and Olympia have gone into labor. While Tom and Cheryl assist the women, Gary pulls out a collection of drawings of the monsters, as he is one of the few individuals who has seen them and wants others to see them as well. He puts Mallory's birds in the fridge so that they don't warn others of the danger. To put his plan in motion, Gary then tears the papers off the windows, which Douglas notices. As a result, he tries to get rid of Douglas by opening the garage door. In the meantime, Olympia gives birth to a girl and Mallory to a boy. When Gary walks into the room, he raises the shades, which causes panic. Mallory quickly closes her eyes, but Olympia sees the entity. Just as she is about to jump from the window, she uses her last ounce of motherhood and offers Mallory her baby. Cheryl is subsequently forced to open her eyes to the outside world, prompting her to stab herself with scissors. Just then, Douglas arrives with a gun and manages to injure Gary in the arm. However, the possessed man eventually takes out Douglas by stabbing him with the scissors. When Tom and Gary notice the weapon, they each try to seize it. 2 gunshots are heard, but Tom is spotted alive and well. He then heads to check Mallory and the children. It's been 5 years, and it is the same scene from the start of the movie. Mallory and Tom have been sharing a home and raising the 2 children, but Tom criticizes Mallory for failing to bond with them or even give them names. They hear something outside, and it's a bunch of infected people in cars, looking for the uninfected. The 2 get a radio transmission late at night from a man named Rick, who claims to be in a secure place with lots of supplies and food. He explains how to travel to the property across the river, warning them that it is dangerous to walk down there with children and that they will need to see to pass through. Rick then instructs them to locate the location by following the sound of birds. Tom wants to visit the compound, but Mallory believes it is a setup. Outside, the infected people from earlier make their way to the home. While Mallory and the kids are protected, Tom rushes to face them. Tom is ordered to remove his blindfold by the survivors, commanded by Whistling Marauder. The entity begins to influence Tom, but he fights it off long enough to eliminate the leader before turning the pistol on himself and alerting Mallory. Mallory then gets the kids together to head onto the river. They've been on the river for 42 hours and have reached the rapids. Mallory tries to navigate through the choppy waves, but the boat crashes over and everyone spills out. Fortunately, she manages to get a hold of both and makes it to the shore unscathed. The three then start walking into the woods, where the entity talks to them and tries all of its might to get them to look, but Mallory's will is stronger, and she convinces the children to listen to her rather than the entity. As they approach the property, she follows the sounds of the birds, but the entity surrounds them as she attempts to go inside until someone unlocks the entrance and lets them in. Mallory's eyes are examined, and she and the children are given permission to enter. They meet Rick, and Mallory learns that the property is a blind school where the students are safe from the entities. Mallory and the kids also find Dr. Lapham, who greets them cheerfully. She inquires about the children's names, and Mallory ultimately names them, Olympia and Tom. She then proudly declares that both of them are her children. The movie ends as Mallory opens her bird box and frees the birds to be with the others in the sanctuary. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.